Salina Cruz. Now, the pictures on screen now are probably what spring to mind when you hear that name. But with factors like informal privatization and remote Oaxacan coastline at play, scoring waves here isn't as straightforward as you might think. So this video breaks the area down and explains what you can realistically expect from this wave-rich surf zone.
Let's go, Adi.
I know, buddy. How good's that?
El otro día que me pasaste, qué bonito se sintió. Hasta el aire nos cantaba. Cuando el día amaneció, será porque tú llegabas y la plaza se alegró. Sé que no esperabas verme y te vi muy sorprendida, pero pronto saludé, se te salió una sonrisa y yo con eso pregunté, ¿por qué llevas tanta prisa?
While this region is home to more than 24 world-class waves, many of them classic, quintessential Mexican points, you can't surf them unless you have the help of a local guide or you're staying at one of the many camps in the area. Now, all of these surf breaks aren't legally privatized like you might see at Pasta Point or Lohis over in the Maldives. It's a lot more informal, but it is enforced. So to be honest, if you rock up and try and surf any wave south of Salina Cruz, you'll either get kicked out or be made to pay pretty quickly. So whether you agree with this or not, it's just how it works in this part of the world. While legally and technically you could go and surf them off your own accord, this part of the world, it's definitely not somewhere where you want to get on the wrong side of the locals. So where do you start? Now, probably the easiest and most affordable way to get a taste of any of these different points is just to employ a local guide for the day. They'll be able to take you to whatever wave might be working on whatever given day. Whereas the surf camps themselves are a bit more of a primo experience. There's obviously cheaper ones, but there's some really plush, really cool ones as well. I think Punta Conejo Resort, Las Palmeras, they're sort of the most established ones in the area. Now, obviously they're a bit more pricey, but the experience is a bit more premium. You know, the packages that you buy from those camps are generally all inclusive and include all of your guiding and daily surfing and food and whatnot. But there are loads of guides who kind of work freelance, I suppose, in Salina Cruz, in Salina Cruz, in Huatulco as well. And all of these guides kind of vary in their knowledge of the area. You've got guides that have been there for a long time and are very well established and obviously very knowledgeable in what waves work under certain conditions. Other ones that are a bit less reliable. But like anything, I find that you kind of get what you pay for. So generally, the more that you're paying, the better experience you're going to have, the better access to knowledge of when the waves work and being at the right place at the right time you'll have. But as a general rule, I'd expect to be paying between 100 and 300 US dollars per day for guiding in this area. As an example, for 10 days worth of guiding and a decent all-inclusive experience, that's the money you're looking at. Obviously, the better the camp, the guide, and if you want filming added on, it can be more. So for my last trip to Mex, I was actually based up in Salina Cruz, and I just hired a guide for the day to take me down to Salina Cruz. So I got a guide from Hola Perfectas, which is a really reputable company based in Barra. It's run by two brothers who grew up in Barra. They'll do anything they can to help you get waves in this area. They've got a couple of accommodation options in Barra itself, but if you contact them directly, they'll also be able to arrange guiding to the other breaks down south as well. So I think I paid 300 USD for a whole day of filming and surf guiding, and we just ended up going to one wave and it was really fun. Got loads of clips and yeah, came back pretty surfed out. So I was pretty happy with that. I'll leave the link in the description where you can check those guys out. Also, I've tried my best to compile a bit of a list of local guides from the area and some of the best camps, because there's no real one resource that puts that all together online. So it can be pretty tricky when you get there, you know, and you don't really know where to start. So this area has so many good waves, it's ridiculous. It's incredibly wave rich, mostly right-hand point breaks. There are some beach breaks as well. It's not really up to me to tell you where they are. One, because I don't know all of them, and two, because you can't go there by yourself anyway. So it's kind of up to the guides to take you to the right places on the right day. Generally, I'd head there expecting just sort of really fun, playful right-hand point breaks for turns, with the odd day where it might be a bit bigger and a bit hollower. If you go there between April and October during the main season for this part of the world, you're almost guaranteed to get waves, but I still wouldn't head there expecting to be getting tubed every single day. You know, we see those videos of this area and it's just those like freight train rights at that one point break, you know, that like slabby, really fast one that kind of closes out, but occasionally people make, like, unless there's like an abnormally large run of swell like there was in June this year, you're not going to be getting those every day. What I'd more expect to surf is the waves that you saw me surfing at the start of this video, you know, just really rippable, really playful right-hand points, and then there'll be the odd day where you might get taken to like a shallower bit of point break where it's a bit hollower, or that slabby one, you know. They all just work under like different conditions. I think that particular hollow one needs significantly more swell to be good. And I mean, realistically, how many of us want to surf that every day, you know, and how many of us are actually making those, you know? You see the pros catching those waves and like not making them, so most of us are just going over the falls. That said, go there in the season, it's remarkably consistent there, so you'll be surfing every day. It would be almost impossible, I'd say, for it to be flat during that season. Now, I guess Salina Cruz gets sold as this uncrowded Mexican point dream, and to some extent that is true, and it's definitely less hectic than the waves that are open to the public. For example, in Barra de la Cruz, anyone can surf that, so obviously it gets super crazy, it's super famous. In Puerto, Zicatela, La Punta, they're in a big town and they're really famous, so they're super busy. But the Salina Cruz points, they are that little bit more exclusive, so only the people who are staying at the camps or employing a local guide can surf them. In my experience, there's still been plenty of people surfing though, because there are a lot of guides and there are a lot of camps. So some of the waves that you saw me catch at the start of this video, that afternoon session, there was actually 25 people out that day, and some of those waves are just like inside nugs. I'd say it's definitely not uncrowded, but it's definitely less crowded than a lot of like public waves. And I guess it depends on the swell as well. If there's loads of swell and there's loads of different waves that can be working, camps, I guess, would go to like the different waves and it would spread out the crowd. Yeah, like sometimes you have this like morning cross shore wind if it's coming from the north, and it makes a lot of the right points a bit shit. It does kind of condense everyone and pushes everyone towards one or two spots, so it does get a bit more crowded. But even so, because like no one's local apart from like the local guides, it doesn't feel like a gnarly crowd, you know? It's just everyone's in the same boat. I just found it as a better vibe than like the waves that are open to the public. So this video is brought to you by True Traveller. If you're looking for insurance for your next surf trip, whether it be to Mexico or anywhere else in the world, then check out True Traveller. Now, True Traveller covers surfing as standard within their policies. They're also one of the most flexible companies out there in allowing you to change and extend your policy while you're already away, because many companies don't even allow you to do that. For this reason, they have quickly become my go-to insurer for surf trips. So see the link in the description where you can check out True Traveller. For now, let's get back to the video. So in the past, I've always been like staunchly against paying to go surfing, but I've kind of changed my attitude a little bit, just because I think it does benefit both parties, you know. You get to surf the waves, the locals benefit financially and still get to surf their waves, whereas if you didn't have that and you had this crazy free-for-all, there'd be way more like sketchy localism incidents where you know, there'd be violence and loads of sketchy shit happening, whereas this kind of keeps it a bit more fair, I suppose. If you're paying a local guide, they're happy because they're getting paid, they get to go to the wave as well, you're having a good time, the other people that are surfing there are also in the same boat because they're paying as well. And generally, if it's your only surf trip, or let's say you do 1 or 2 surf trips a year, you're paying for really good waves, and if you get really good waves, I think it's worth it. I probably paid between $200 and $300 for 1 day of guiding and filming, but for me, it was worth it. I just surfed like a really fun right-hand point. For a lot of the day, there was only like 5 or 6 people out, and then it got a little bit busier in the afternoon, but I mean, you're paying for that, like it's pretty sick. And also they're gonna know the banks as well, because obviously they're all sand bottom points, so the sand is always changing, so they'll know where there's like a shallow bank and where, you know, where the good waves are going to be under the right conditions. Whereas if you tried to go there and figure that out for yourself, well, 1, you wouldn't be allowed to surf, and 2, yeah, you'd have a pretty hard time, I'd imagine. And I'd say tapping into that local knowledge and making sure you definitely get waves rather than just guessing off your own accord, it's definitely worth the money. A few years ago, I actually tried to surf them by myself. It was my first trip to Mexico, so I didn't really know what the deal was. So a few of you will have heard this story if you've been following the channel for a while. But I was staying in Salina Cruz, just at a crappy hotel in town, and I wanted to go and surf Punta Conejo, which is the first point in that sort of Salina Cruz zone. So I figured I'll just take a taxi from town to the end of this street where the road kind of runs out, and then I'll just walk down the beach and go surfing. It was going to be fantastic. And then it was probably a mile or 2 from where I got dropped to where the wave is, and in the distance I could see the white water like coming down the headland, and I was like, oh wow, my first taste of Mexican point break perfection. So I just started like walking along the beach, and yeah, gradually the waves came into view more and more, and I was getting really excited, and there's all these like 4x4 trucks parked like along the sand, and I just kind of walked past, and then all of a sudden I just heard a whistle, and like a big Mexican guy came down and was basically like, yeah, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm just going surfing. He's like, oh, you've got to pay if you're surfing here. And I was like, what? And he was really nice about it, to be fair, but he just kind of explained that you can't surf them without a guide, or you've got to pay. And I was like begging him to try and surf. I was like, mate, come on, I've done the mission from town. I was like dripping in sweat. I was like, come on, please let me surf. Yeah, and I think I had like 300 or 400 pesos in my pocket. Not enough, and definitely not as much as you should be paying, but I kind of offered him that and he let me surf. So yeah, I ended up surfing for 2 or 3 hours, and then basically almost passed out on the way back because I had like no energy left to get back. If you want to read more about that story and my first time in Mexico, you can read it in this book, which is a book I wrote a few years ago. So I know a few of you have read it, but yeah, if you want to check that out, I'll leave it in the description. So yeah, that's my summary of Salina Cruz. Obviously, it's a very, very renowned surf zone. If you're planning a trip to Salina Cruz, Mexico, or anywhere in the world, and you're unsure where to start, I'd love to help you make it happen. Whether you're trying to navigate bringing the family along on the trip, or you don't know where to surf based on your ability, if you book a one-to-one call with me, we can discuss all of that. My whole goal with this business is just to give you really accurate, non-biased, solid surf trip information so you can head away with a bit more confidence. So see the link in the description where you can book a one-to-one call. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.